Hey guys, Dan Drake at That Properties here, and today we'll be discussing the June 2026 market update for the entire Chicagoland area and also the 5 to 6 northwest suburbs that we talk about in this newsletter. And again, that's going to be your Barringtons, your Palatines, your Arlington Heights, Hoffman Estates, and Schaumburg. So those are going to be the ones that we're primarily going to talk about the prices. We're going to talk about the inventory and the overall closings, how they changed year over year, and also kind of month over month. But from a kind of a grand perspective here, we've already gone through the first 6 months of the 2026. And so far, when you look at the total number of transactions, we're actually tracking even lower than we did last year and also the previous 3 years. Because really, when the market changed with the interest rate in 2022, you really saw a negative effect on the number of homes that have closed really in 2023, 2024, 2025. And unfortunately, this is the fourth year in a row that we're going to have historically low transactions. Now, that's great for sellers, especially sellers that are trying to move out of state, or they have a second home, or they have an Airbnb or an investment property they're just trying to offload, because right now just the lack of inventory means that the sales prices are staying high. And so far, the first 6 months of the year, I believe we're only tracking about 62,000 homes have closed in the first 6 months. When you look at we say the first 6 months go for the second 6 months, right? It's tracking the same. We're looking at 124,000 homes that have closed in 2026 potentially. When we look at last year, it was probably closer to 132,000. When we look at 2022, we were basically 160,000, and even 2021 is even higher. So you can see just the lack of closings that we've kind of experienced in the Chicagoland area. And where other places they're seeing a lot more homes, a lot of inventory in Chicago and the Chicagoland area, we're not seeing that at all. So from kind of a broad perspective, the Chicagoland area, from year over year, prices are up about 6.3%. Now, when we look at the inventory, we're still sitting about at 1.9 month supply of inventory, which has been stagnant over the past few months. And the number of closings are actually down year over year about 2%. Now, when we look at Barrington prices are up basically 10.5% year over year. We're up slightly from last month. The reason why is because your inventory is basically 16% less than it was this time last year. And when we look at the number of closings, we're a little bit ahead. We're about 0.7% year over year higher. Now, when we look at Palatine, the prices in Palatine have actually gone up 7.4% year over year. And when we compare it to last month, we're basically slightly up month over month, okay? Because those are kind of the two things you want to look at. A lot of people care about, how are we looking in comparison to last year, and also how are we looking in comparison to last month. Now, when we look at the overall inventory, we're very stagnant. The past 3 months have been at 1.3 month supply of inventory. And again, that screams just a huge seller's market. And when we look at the number of closings, we're down about 2.1%. And mainly it's just not because buyers don't want to buy, it's just the fact that there's nothing for people to buy, okay? Now, when we look at Arlington Heights, prices are up about 1.4% year over year and slightly down from last month. Now, that could also be, in May, we might have saw a little bit more higher priced homes that have closed in Arlington Heights. So that does not mean that prices are dropping just because you saw a slight decrease month over month. The inventory is about 1.1 month supply of inventory. It's been stagnant over the past 2 months as well. And the number of closings are actually down 9.1%. But from last month, we're very standard, okay? Now, Schaumburg, we're looking at prices up 2.7% year over year. We are only sitting on 1.3 month supply of inventory, and the closings are up about 2.3%. And our final village we're going to talk about is going to be Hoffman Estates. And Hoffman Estates prices are up 6.1%, which is a little bit lower than what's been tracking earlier in the year. Again, we're looking at 1.3 month supply of inventory, but when we compare it to last year, we're actually up 30%. So last year was extremely low number of homes for sale in Hoffman Estates. And the number of closings are actually up 2.2 month supply of inventory, or 2.2 increase from this time last year from the closings. And when we look at month over month, it's basically the exact same that we saw last month in Hoffman Estates. So overall, when you look at it so far, the first 6 months, it's been very low, right? I'm sure everyone that's out there that's looking at homes for sale, whether you're looking to sell or buy, you're really not seeing what you expected, especially when spring happened. And right now we're sitting at the middle of the summertime and you're not really seeing anything as well. That's going to persist through the rest of the year. Now, that could always change. You never know. I've been doing this for 20 years, and to be honest, I'd like to say that I really know and I can guess when the market's going to change or not, but in reality, no one knows. There's been plenty of years, all of a sudden, it's like a light switch just flips, that the market turns on and turns off. There's no rhyme or reason. We can sit back and say, oh, this is the reason why because of the war in Iraq or whatever. But in reality, when it comes to buying and selling, there's really no reason why all of a sudden the buyers flood the market or the sellers flood the market or vice versa. But we can kind of predict, since we've had the last 3 years of low inventory and since we had the first 6 months of low inventory, we can probably fairly accurately predict that the rest of this year is going to be slower as well. I do believe that this can't hold on for much longer. At some point, yes, people are staying in their house much longer than they have years past, but at some point, people are going to say, I don't care anymore. I'm trying to move out of state, or I'm trying to get a bigger house or a smaller house. That will happen, and it will kind of more or less force people to start putting their house on the market. Now, I don't think that the prices are going to drop at all, even if you have a mass amount of people putting their house on the market. The main reason why is because of the fact that we've had low closings and population keeps getting higher and higher. The demand keeps getting bigger and bigger, and there's more and more people that can afford a house today than could years past, just because of the just overall demographic and population growth in the nation. So I'd say if you are looking to buy anytime soon, it's always a good time to keep looking. And if you're starting to look as well, it's a great idea to talk to a lender, because again, those rates change all the time. So you never know if you can all of a sudden afford more than you could last year when you're looking. But if you have any questions or you want kind of a deeper dive into your neighborhood, feel free to give me a call. This is Dan Drake of That Properties, 847-347-3484. Thanks.